Hey, welcome from wherever you are in the world. My name is Calvenn Starre, and this is the webinar series Advancement in Leadership. And this particular series is based on the book The Disciplined Leader by John Manning, who is a CEO, founder of a company called MAP, who goes in and trains high-level executives to kind of see where their shortcomings are and what they can do to kind of take their company to the next level. And I took this years ago. And, he wrote a book, and I thought, this is great. It is written for people who are in those executive positions, but what I'm doing is I'm actually taking it and translating it into network marketing or direct sales. Because if you're going to go out there and build a business in direct marketing, then what you need to do, you need to go out and lead people. And so I'm taking the information because there are really 52 really great, powerful lessons on leadership and what you need to do to transform who you are today in order to be able to lead this organization that you can see in the future. So here we are, and we're going to be getting into this. We're actually at chapter 43, which is entitled Put More Weight on Why, the question why. But before we get started with every series that you'll see in the beginning, we go back and integrate the information. We integrate the information into your brain a different way than most people would think. Most people think that knowledge is repetition, like, you kind of put more, not repetition. Most people think knowledge is just putting more and more stuff into the brain. But true knowledge is really when you master something. And so integration is about repetition, which is the repetition of all things, is the mother of all skill, is repetition. So, what we do here is we integrate the last 3 chapters of the book to kind of bring back the information, recall it, reintegrate it, put it into our brains, and let it start to, kind of manifest what's there. And so here we go. We're going to stop with chapter 40. Okay, and this was Stay the Course. And this is a powerful chapter for people, especially in network marketing, because you need to stay the course and stay with companies that you're with, and not be so tempted by the new thing, the new product, the new, compensation plan, the new this, the new that. There's always going to be something new. That's the way the world works. But really staying the course with something is powerful because there's always going to be something different and new. But in what you're doing, you have to create consistency, and you have to stay the course with what you're doing. Unless something truly doesn't match up for you anymore and you don't resonate with it, then I get that. I understand that. I'm not telling you to fight your urge to be, to not resonate with something that's meaningful to you. What I'm talking about here is don't get distracted by other things or other people, and just kind of stay focused on what you need to do and stay your course, because this is really about you. This isn't about somebody else that came in just, a month ago and has advanced in rank while you're still stuck at 1, because that's not about you. This is about that person is not about what you're going through. You're going through something different, and you need to stay the course and dig deep. And this will be a great question that you get to ask yourself, and a great chapter for you to kind of understand. So staying the course is really about staying true to your center and true to who you are, and making sure that you stay through those changes and those things that are going to come, because you're going to have to stay the course in order to be successful. Chapter 41, Lead from the Front. The big thing with network marketing is as the leader goes, so does the rest of the group. And so a lot of times these leaders come in, they kind of blow and go, and they're bringing people in and, cheering everybody on. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, they disappear and they kind of start managing people, is what we call it in this industry. And that never works long term. You have to lead from the front. When you're in a space of being in the mix of everything that's going on, it says something to the people that you're asking to do the same thing. So if you're telling people, hey, you got to do this, this, and this, well, if you're not doing that from the front lines, then they're going to look at you and go, well, but you're not doing it. And so even if it's conscious or it's unconscious, they're going to look at that and go, well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel right. And so I'm not going to do that because they're not doing it. And golly, look how successful they are. I'm going to do what they do, which is nothing, right? That's what they all think. So lead from the front, meaning be there and be present with people and do meetings with them, do calls with them, do, whatever you need to do to work with them and be engaged with them on the front lines. Okay, so that's chapter 41, Lead from the Front. Chapter 42 last week was Learn from Success. So many times we look at our failures and we kind of, we've got all these reasons about why it didn't work. But the true, gifted and successful people learn from their successes, and they attempt to replicate that. And so find the things that do work for you and learn to replicate that in your business and what you're doing, and learn from those successes. Learn. Tony Robbins talks about it. Success it's not a secret. All you have to do is look at what other people do and do those things, because the magic is that we're all given 24 hours a day. How you use that, what you leverage your time with, and how you do things is the reason why you're either successful or not successful, period. And some people are really great at leveraging relationships, and other people are great at leveraging their time and all these things. So you have to figure out what works for you and what you need to do in order to make your business work. And that will help you create the success. So learn from those and say, wow, you know what, this time in my life, or maybe when I was making these calls, I did great. And I got people to join the business, and man, what did I do then? Right? Rather than focusing on what you did wrong, and the other times that you didn't do anything right. Learn from your successes. You're going to have to really shift your focus on learning from your successes, because we are trained to look at our failures and focus on the past. So learn from your past successes. That's the switch. So in chapter 43, put more weight on why, we're going to look at some quotes that I pulled out. And it says, there are two great days in a person's life: the day we are born and the day we discover why. William Barclay. And this is powerful. Jim Rohn talks about it, about having your why, really understanding your why. I've heard people describe it as, why is the 4x4 that gets you out of the muck of your life. And because you've got to sometimes dig deep and say, you know what, wait, why am I doing this? And really remember why you are doing something. And if you've been a part of this, or you've been on some of my training calls, or worked with me personally, you understand that why has to be something within you. It has to be about you. It can't be about somebody else, because then you're always going to have that reason. You can always make up a reason about why you're not doing it, because that somebody else doesn't really care anymore, or they're not grateful, or they're this or they're that. No, the why needs to be about you, and it doesn't need to be about your kids or your dogs or your family or this or that. It's about you, and why are you doing this? Because that's the one thing that will keep burning forever. Everything else may or may not last for a long time. It's just that's part of the way things are. Your kids are going to grow up. They're not going to be as interested in, all the things that they did when they were little. And so they're not going to appreciate it like you truly know. So you have to discover why. Why are you going to and willing to do something, and put the commitment in, put the reason in to give your gift in life. Then we have Eddie Cantor. Okay, slow down and enjoy life. It's not the scenery you miss by going too fast. You also miss the sense of where you are going and why. And so many of us, Abraham Hicks talks about it a lot, where it's like when you're on vacation, you're not saying, when am I going to get home? When am I going to get home? When am I going to get home, right? It's about really just enjoying that vacation time, and really just soaking it up and being excited about it. So, to take that, you take it into what you're doing, and it's like we're always so focused on, when am I going to make this rank? When am I going to make this money? When am I going to get this commission? It's like, no. Really just really enjoy the moment of what you're creating with the experience, and you will find like pure bliss in what you're doing, and you'll be excited. And yes, it may take a little bit of time for it to come, but it will come if you, of course, stay the course, like we talked about in some of the other chapters. So really understanding all of these things is going to make a huge difference in what you do, and not in what you do, but most importantly, how you do it. The question of why can be a powerful tool for growth and development. If you understand why you do things, or why you have done things in the past, you can find out what it's going to take to motivate people. In fact, this is one of the challenges that most people have with their kids. It's always and I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I want you to get this understanding. We ask, okay, well, why do you do that? It's not about that kind of a why, but it's about, what do we need to do to get people to do the things that we know that they need to do, which is a lot of network marketing and also parenting. And so we have to really understand why they do it, like truly why they do it. Why do they complain? Why do they, go through this stage? It's just something that we have to discover. So in the book, it talks about most people ask the question of how and they never figure out why. And he talks about this, and it's something I've hit on before, where schooling and education teaches the how, but it doesn't teach the why. And so we get out of school and we're trained to only think of how to do things, right? And not why we should be doing things or why we should not be doing things. And so it becomes that scale where the really successful people understand the why of what people do, because it's easy to get the how. Okay, that's the whole point of this. The most successful people, when thinking about doing things or putting together a marketing campaign or something like that, we ask the question of, why does somebody buy something? Why does somebody buy a weight loss product? Why does somebody buy an anti-aging supplement? And that will help you understand how you can then sell it. But most people just are given the how. Here's how you do it. But if you don't understand the why, you're not going to be able to navigate those waters when it gets choppy and rough. With what I do, so many people ask me, well, how do you do that? Well, I tell them how, but they don't understand why I do it, or why I came up with it, or why I do it the way that I do it. And so it's not about the how, right? That's for the regular people that just do the job. But the why is really about creating that dynamic of, okay, really understanding why people are going to be doing what they're doing. And when you can capitalize and really capture that, you will know how to lead people in a way that they will feel inspired to take the action that they need to take in their lives and in their business. How is the simple, why is the complex? That's what we're getting to. So asking that question of how is simple. It's like, okay, well, you just do this, you strike a key and do all that stuff. But why does that work? Well, that's a much more complex understanding and answer. When you understand why, you understand more than meets the eye. So when you really understand why people do certain things, then you can pretty much do anything. Okay, then you can figure out many, many different ways of how, once you understand why. I can teach people how all day long, but I cannot teach them why. And this is really where, people like Tony Robbins talks about it, T. Harv Eker talks about it. It's like, I'm not your answer guru. I'm not the guy that's going to solve the world issues. You've got to figure out why you do certain things. And that's what will help you along this path and this journey. So, because anybody can teach you how to read a script or whatnot, but why are you communicating with somebody and understanding why you need to do what you do and how you do it and all this stuff? It comes in, and it's one of those things where it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And that's why in the chapter he's saying, put more weight on why, asking those why questions, really uncovering the core of what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. The money is found in the why. The people that are the most successful understand why people do things and why things happen the way that they happen. And so then they are able to be in more control of how to do things. Okay? Why is the upper level and how is just below that level. And he talks about this within terms of management. And I will say it in this terms of direct selling and network marketing. Why, when people understand why, those are the people that achieve those higher ranks, because they get the crux of why people do things and they know what they need to do in order to satisfy that. How are the people that just never really achieve? They're doing the thing, they're doing it, it's mundane, it's boring, it's blah, blah, how, and they don't truly capture the essence of what it is to change somebody's lives or do something. And so they're stuck in the how. They know how to do it, but they don't know why they're doing it. And so they lose that steam and that gas. Why will help you uncover the how, okay? If you're looking for new ways to do things, then understanding why people do something or why you do something will allow you to create more ways of how you do it or how you can get somebody to do something else. So these are really powerful questions, and this may be a webinar that you have to really absorb for maybe 3 or 4 times to watch it, because the why, the how, the this, the that, it sounds like one of those comedians like, what's on first? No, who's on second? And it's like, it can get a little bit confusing at times. But once you understand the why and how it relates to the how, right? you'll start to begin to understand this and kind of walk yourself through it. You'll get it, I promise. When you ask why more, it will help you gain clarity and focus. Now, you don't want to be that what Zig Ziglar talked about, paralysis through analysis, right? You don't want to paralyze yourself with always asking that question, because, and he talks about this in the book, where he talks about, kids always ask that question, why? And he goes, the reason we don't ask why as adults is because we ask why so many times as a kid that we're ultimately beaten down by the people around us going, just be quiet, it doesn't matter. And so we stop asking that question of why. But it's really a powerful question. When you look at things and you look at, I remember going to guerrilla marketing with T. Harv Eker way back in 2008 or 2000, I think it was 2007, 2008. And he goes, one of the things that they taught in that seminar series was looking through the newspaper and looking at the headlines and asking yourself why. So like, let's say that, Boston, has this big thing going on with the city, community and all that kind of stuff. And you can ask why. And what he said was what people will do is they ask those why questions, and they will end up uncovering the idea that can make them multimillionaires or even billionaires. That reminds me of the story about the person who became the billionaire the fastest to record on date, right? Or in history, was somebody who asked the question, why? And it was about McDonald's, and it was the whole Burger King McDonald's thing, but they would ask that question, well, why does this happen? Why are there always a McDonald's and a Burger King right across the street from each other? And so what they did by asking that question of why, they figured out what was going to happen. So whenever McDonald's would go in and put up a place, that person went in and bought the property adjacent to the McDonald's, or it was something along those lines. I don't know the specific details, so I'm not going to act like I do. But they would buy the property in that area, and then they knew that because McDonald's had done the research about where to put a McDonald's restaurant at, they knew that everything else was going to come into that place. And so they bought the property there that was vacant. And this person became a billionaire. That's the story I heard. Became a billionaire, the fastest billionaire to record. It was at that time. I don't know how old the story is. It's probably like 5, maybe even 10 years old. But when you start to ask yourself the why, okay, well, why is that? Why is this? Why? And really just kind of contemplate some different things. You begin to uncover different hows and why people and how people come up with different solutions. Okay, if you look at any of your marketing material or your compensation plan, I look at compensation plans totally different than a distributor or an affiliate would, because I'm at a different level when it comes to like the executive. And for me, a compensation plan is a behavior tool. It's what is it doing to drive behavior? And that's from the question of why. Why will somebody do this? Why will somebody do that? And if you look at a compensation plan through that, if it makes sense to you, you know that you've got a good compensation plan. If it doesn't make sense to you, like, well, why would somebody want to do that? Then it's probably not a good compensation plan. But the good ones are created from asking the question of why. And why would somebody want to do that? Or what kind of behavior do we want to drive here through this compensation plan? And you'll be able to see exactly what kind of questions people were asking when they put that company together. So when people are shut down to new ideas, or do not want to hear the truth, or only want what they want, when they are or only want what they want, then they're into the how of things, not the why of things. So when somebody is so stubborn, right, and it's got to be my way or the highway kind of thing, or nope, this is the way it's going to be, and I don't want to hear anybody else's ideas, and it's all about me. Well, they're into the how, because they think that they have the best possible idea for how they're going to accomplish something. And this is different from a system. I believe in systems. Systems are the how, but they're created through people asking the question of why, okay? And so, but when you've got people who are just so shut off to so many things in life and not willing to look at things, those are the people that are stuck in the how, okay? And so you've got to watch out, because a lot of us are that person, and we have to ask that question, is that me? Am I shut off or am I open? And again, this becomes a delicate balance. This is the razor's edge. If you haven't seen that movie with Bill Murray, go see it. It's all about some things are such a fine line in life that we have to be careful that we're not too open so that we chase every little thing that comes across our path, but we're open enough to stay focused on what we're doing. And it becomes like this term, the oxymoron. But you have to find that, and you'll know exactly what it is. And I can't answer it for you. I can only answer it for myself. I can't answer it for anybody else either. And so you've got to figure that out. Are you that person who doesn't want to hear things, is shut down to new ideas? Or are you a person that's open and asking, okay, well, why? Why would I want to do that? Or why would I want to buy into this? Like all these different things that you've got to start to question. Asking why requires true leadership because you will start to question your beliefs. You will start to question your rules. And so like some of the books that I've been reading lately are just really profound on this because, you know, when you read the quote by Steve Jobs about the fact that everything that you believe today was made up by people who believed a certain thing, it doesn't mean that it's true. It just means that that's what they believed and so they passed it on to you. You may benefit from you in your life by asking the question of why do I believe this? Why do I believe this person versus that person? Why do I believe this thing versus that thing? And if you can't truly find an answer that has substance and material and like something that you can truly touch and feel, like truth, then you may want to discard it and be rid of it. Because, you know, the one thing I've learned in life is that you've got to just question. And, you know, one of the things, one of my great spiritual teachers, Jed McKenna, said, it's like if you weren't there and you didn't see it or hear it firsthand, then it's hearsay. I also learned that in court. You know, you know that things that are said by other people are hearsay until they're proven factual. And you should feel the same way about everything that you hear from other people and ask that question of why. Why? Why should I believe this? Why do I want to believe this? And really find out, because once you do that and you get rid of all this other stuff that's going on in your head about, well, what if and this and that, and you understand why, you'll be able to transform everything about who and what you are and your relationships and your business and everything, and you'll take your company to the next level. And that's what you want to do. But that requires true leadership because you will be encountering areas that are unknown. And for most people, that gets a little scary. And so you've got to focus and say, okay, I trust myself here. Now let me start asking some questions. Now, 3 ways to apply the why question in your organization, okay? Number 1, challenge norms. You must question what is conventional so you can evolve and stay ahead of the game. So question, this is a great example how these companies, CarMax, Southwest Airlines, Amazon, Apple, they had to question the norm. Like most people thought Amazon was like insane. Like we're going to go to this one place and buy all these things, and it's just, and now Amazon has, you know, asked that question of why so many times that now they're becoming their own shipping company and they're having their own delivery service. Like it's like through the roof of what they've been able to accomplish. The same thing with Apple. Remember, Apple asked that question of not how do we, you know, make a better phone? No, why do we want people to want to be a part of Apple? And that's why you have people line up for days before to go buy the new iPhone every year, versus other companies that just do a launch and then people go in and buy it when they come across it. It's a totally different thing. Same thing with Southwest. Southwest doesn't have all these like, you know, elite statuses, but they're one of the most successful airlines out there that has never gone bankruptcy and is thriving because they just do things differently. That people looked up at them and said, my gosh, what do you mean you're going to do that? Look at CarMax, same thing. No hassle, no haggling, no negotiating. People thought that's insane. You're going to be giving away your bread and butter. But you know what? They're successful. So all these things, you have to challenge the norm. Remember that movie with Robin Williams where he was an advertisement and he just said, well, why don't we do things differently? Why don't we just tell people, hey, you know, they had one for Metamucil or something like that. You can't poop. Take this. It'll make you go poop. And instead of like, you know, beating around the bush with all these other things, it was like, just get to the point of it and be frank with people. And it was a huge success. Number 2, challenge people. For example, what caused you to miss your rank this month? Asking people what caused it gets them to start thinking about what did they do? What did they not do? And then when they tell you what they didn't do, or they tell you what they did do, then encourage them to do more of what they did do. And if they need to do some things that they didn't do, then encourage them to do that. But always turn it into a positive. Dig deep until the truth is revealed. Find out the real why, and you will set your organization free, because you will have people that can self-manage themselves and drive themselves, also known as inspiration. Inspiration is totally different from motivation. Motivation is fear-driven, where it's like, I've got to do this or something else is going to happen. Where inspiration is when somebody knows their why and they understand exactly what they're going to do, and they do it. They don't have to be told. They don't have to be reminded. It's so important to them because they understand why they're doing it, that it's the most amazing thing ever for that person, and it changes their lives. Okay? Now, number 3, challenge potential. The question of why not? Why not do that? Why not do this? Ask yourself that question, and it's a great thing for kids too. It's like, well, they ask why and go, well, I don't know, why not? Find out what they come up with. Sometimes they're the most creative, intuitive people that I've ever come across, because they're not limited by all the filters yet and all the experiences and all the things that we go through. And so they have a much more open idea and conversation with you about things that you just thought were a set way. So ask them why not. If somebody says, well, no, I don't want to do that. Well, why not? Find out. Maybe why not play with it and see what your prospect thinks, and go, well, why not? And they may just go, I don't know. I've actually had that happen where I've said, well, why not? And they go, you know what? I think I was just saying no because that's what I always say. And then it's like, boom, it shifts everything, and then you get a yes. It's not always going to happen. But why not? Right? Number 1, let's take action now. Number 1, practice asking more open-ended questions, and look for opportunities to ask these types of questions, including at least one why question in the mix. So look for opportunities to ask this why question. And it's not necessarily like where you're going to drive somebody crazy, but truly, when you understand why you're doing it, here's the funny part of this. When you understand why, it won't come across as some just robotic, like, why? It'll be, you're like, why? Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's really figure out what's going on to really help you uncover some truths in your area of your life and get you better results, right? If somebody goes, well, no, I don't want to try that. That's a ridiculous product. I've tried so many of them, they don't work. Well, why? Why didn't they work? And really find out that, you know what probably the truth is that they probably didn't work because that person didn't do what they needed to do. And so if you can get them to observe that, they may be open to trying your product now. Number 2, use why to challenge organizational norms. Examine tasks and activities to determine better ways to do business. Be devil's advocate in any meeting where proposals are offered. Yes, this is the executive side of it, but when you're working with your top people, create an opportunity for creativity is what I'm trying to say. Examine the things that you're doing and say, is there a better way of doing this? Well, why do you do it this way? Why do you do it that way? And again, this isn't something that you want to do every single time that you have a conversation with somebody, but set time aside for this type of thing to where you can spend time to focus on developing and understanding why. Like I said, not every day, maybe once a week, maybe once a month, but really understanding and help people create thinking. I also saw a quote out there about the reason people don't think is because it's so much work. And it's true. We'd rather just be told what to do and do it. And that's the challenge with most things when you're dealing with people in network marketing. Most people need to be told. But if you can give them the gift of thinking for themselves and finding out why they do certain things, you will give them a gift that will last a lifetime. Number 3, adopt the why question as part of your coaching style. Who is in your organization misses his or her his goals, and drill deeper with why questions until you have got the right answer. So the point of this action step is I want you to take the responsibility upon yourself to ask those why questions and help people dig deeper. It can get uncomfortable at times, but you know what? If you're not being uncomfortable at times, you're probably not growing, because that's where growth occurs. And so when things are tough, and things are difficult and somebody pushes you to say, well, why? And you go, golly, that's so uncomfortable. It's like, great, because now you're about to grow, because now you're about to uncover what's making you uncomfortable. And when you uncover what's making you uncomfortable, you become okay with it. And then you grow, you become bigger, like T. Harv Eker talks about, become bigger than the problem, right? So find out why you're doing something. Why won't you take on this challenge? Why won't you take on this issue? And become bigger than the problem. You'll realize that, you know what? It's probably just a fear. It's false evidence appearing real, right? It's just, that's the way things are. We create these things in our head about who and what and where and why and when, and they don't even exist. So start asking yourself that question of why, and you will find the right answer. So as we do always, I want you to pay it forward by leaving a comment below on what you are most grateful for in your life today and what you learned from this webinar. Thank you, and I am grateful for your leadership. Showing up is the first step. Have a good one.